They burned the American flag in the streets. They chanted "Death to America" for decades. American presidents called Iran one of the greatest threats on earth. But here's the strange part. Iran and America were not always enemies. In fact, there was a time when the two countries were close allies. So what happened? Why did an entire nation turn against one of the world's most powerful countries? The answer is hidden inside a story filled with secret coups, oil wars, revolution, betrayal, and decades of bloodshed that changed the Middle East forever. To understand Iran's anger toward America, you have to go back to a time before the Islamic Revolution, before the hostage crisis, and before the world saw Iran as an enemy. In the early 1900s, Iran was weak, divided, and heavily controlled by foreign powers. Britain and Russia treated the country like a chessboard. But one thing beneath Iran's soil would change everything: oil. Massive oil reserves turned Iran into one of the most valuable countries in the world. Foreign companies rushed in, and Britain gained enormous control over Iran's oil industry, taking most of the profits while ordinary Iranians remained poor. By the 1950s, many Iranians were furious. They believed their country was being robbed. That anger gave rise to a man named Mohammad Mossadegh, a democratically elected prime minister who promised to take back control of Iran's oil. To millions of Iranians, Mossadegh was a hero. He nationalized the British-owned oil industry and declared that Iran's wealth should belong to the Iranian people, not foreign empires. But this move terrified Britain, which suddenly lost access to one of its most valuable resources. Britain wanted Mossadegh removed, but it needed help. That help came from the United States. At the height of the Cold War, American leaders feared that instability in Iran could allow the Soviet Union to gain influence in the region. So, in 1953, the CIA and British intelligence launched a secret operation to overthrow Mossadegh. The coup succeeded. Mossadegh was removed from power, arrested, and placed under house arrest for the rest of his life. Many Iranians never forgot what happened. To them, America had destroyed their democracy to protect oil interests. After the coup, the United States backed Iran's monarch, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. The Shah became one of America's closest allies in the Middle East. Washington supplied him with money, weapons, and political support. Under the Shah, Iran modernized rapidly. Skyscrapers rose, Western culture spread, and the economy grew. To many outsiders, Iran looked like a success story, but beneath the surface, anger was growing. Many Iranians believed the Shah was becoming a dictator. His secret police, known as Savak, brutally crushed opposition. Thousands of people were imprisoned, tortured, or silenced. Religious leaders, students, intellectuals, and ordinary citizens increasingly viewed the Shah as a puppet of the United States. American influence was everywhere, from military advisors to corporations. To critics, Iran was losing its identity, while the Shah lived in luxury. One religious figure became especially powerful during this period: Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. He fiercely criticized the Shah and accused America of controlling Iran from behind the scenes. Eventually, the Shah exiled Khomeini, hoping to silence him. Instead, his message spread even further. Through smuggled recordings and speeches, he inspired millions who were angry at corruption, inequality, and foreign influence. Then came 1979, the year everything exploded. Massive protests erupted across Iran. Millions of people flooded the streets demanding the Shah's removal. The revolution grew so powerful that the Shah fled the country. After years in exile, Ayatollah Khomeini returned to Iran like a conquering hero. Crowds welcomed him with overwhelming emotion. The Islamic Revolution had succeeded, and Iran would never be the same again. The new revolutionary government saw America as the symbol of everything they hated: foreign interference, corruption, Western domination, and support for the Shah's dictatorship. But tensions became truly explosive when the United States allowed the exiled Shah to enter America for medical treatment. Many Iranians believed Washington was plotting another coup, just like in 1953. Then came one of the most shocking moments in modern diplomatic history. In November 1979, Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and took dozens of American diplomats hostage. The hostage crisis lasted 444 days. Images of blindfolded Americans filled television screens across the world. In the United States, public anger toward Iran exploded. But inside Iran, many revolutionaries celebrated the takeover as a stand against American power. The hostage crisis permanently poisoned relations between the two nations. America imposed sanctions, diplomatic ties were cut, mutual hatred deepened. But things became even more complicated in the 1980s when Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein, invaded Iran. The war was catastrophic. Hundreds of thousands died. And although the United States officially claimed neutrality, many Iranians believed America sided with Iraq by providing intelligence and support during the conflict. One event during the war became deeply traumatic for Iran. In 1988, a U.S. Navy warship accidentally shot down Iran Air Flight 655, killing all 290 civilians on board, including children. America said it was a tragic mistake, but many Iranians saw it as proof that Iranian lives meant nothing to the United States. The memory of the disaster remains powerful inside Iran even today. Over the following decades, the conflict evolved into something larger than politics. It became ideological. Iranian leaders portrayed America as an arrogant superpower trying to dominate the Middle East. Meanwhile, many American leaders described Iran as a dangerous regime supporting terrorism and threatening regional stability. Each side viewed the other through decades of fear, propaganda, and historical trauma. Then came the issue that pushed tensions to the edge again: Iran's nuclear program. Iran claimed it wanted nuclear technology for peaceful energy purposes. The United States and its allies feared Iran was secretly trying to build nuclear weapons. Sanctions crushed Iran's economy, inflation soared, ordinary people suffered. Yet many Iranians believed America was unfairly targeting their country while ignoring other nations with nuclear weapons. In 2015, there appeared to be a breakthrough. Iran and world powers signed the nuclear deal, officially known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. The agreement limited Iran's nuclear activities in exchange for sanctions relief. For a brief moment, it seemed possible that decades of hostility might slowly fade. But the hope did not last. In 2018, the United States withdrew from the nuclear deal under President Donald Trump and reimposed harsh sanctions. Iran's economy plunged into crisis again. Tensions rose sharply across the Middle East. Then, in 2020, the United States killed top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in a drone strike in Iraq. Millions attended his funeral. Iran vowed revenge. The two countries appeared dangerously close to war. But here's the part many people misunderstand. The hatred between Iran and America is not simple. Not every Iranian hates Americans, and not every American sees Iran as an enemy. In fact, many ordinary people in both countries admire each other's culture, history, science, and art. Iranian Americans have become successful doctors, engineers, artists, and entrepreneurs across the United States. Beneath the politics, there is still human connection. So why does Iran hate America so much? For many Iranians, the answer begins with the 1953 coup, decades of foreign interference, support for the Shah, sanctions, war, and military pressure. For many Americans, the answer begins with the hostage crisis, anti-American rhetoric, attacks linked to Iranian-backed groups, and fears about nuclear weapons. Each side remembers different wounds. Each side believes it was wronged first. And that may be the most dangerous part of all, because when nations build their identity around old anger, history stops being the past. It becomes fuel for the future. The hostility between Iran and America has lasted for more than 40 decades, shaping wars, economies, and global politics. Yet, despite everything, the story is still unfinished. The question now is whether these two nations are trapped forever by history, or whether one day they can escape it.